Okay guys, here's a short video on reference angles. So here is the informal definition of a reference angle. A reference angle is how much rotation you need to get to the x-axis quickly. Okay, that's a little bit of a funny definition, but I'll draw a few pictures and it'll make perfect sense to you. So let's say I have this angle right here, and let's say that's 170 degrees. So imagine I'm going to rotate. This right here is 180 degrees of rotation, so the reference angle would be 10 degrees, because I would have to rotate 10 degrees more to get to the x-axis. Again, let's read the definition one more time. How much rotation you need to get to the x-axis quickly. Now I added the word quickly here because you could get to the x-axis by winding it back 170, but that wouldn't be the quickest. The quickest way to get to the x-axis is to just continue that revolution all the way to 180. Okay, what if you had something like this? What would the reference angle be of 190 degrees? Here, it's again, how much rotation you need to get to the x-axis. The x-axis is 180 degrees, and so this would be 10 degrees. We don't care that it's technically negative rotation going back. It's just the absolute value. How much rotation altogether do you need? Okay, what about this? Okay, what is the reference angle of 350 degrees? Again, it's how much rotation you need to get to the x-axis the quickest. And here, 10 degrees would get you around to 360. Okay, let's do this now with radians. Let's say this is 4 pi fifths. Well, this right here is pi, so how do you square that? Well, pi is the same thing as, let's get a common denominator with this 5. We can call that 5 pi fifths. So if I've rotated 4 pi fifths, how much more do I need? Exactly, I need pi fifths. Pi fifths would be my reference angle. Let's do one in quadrant 3. Let's say I have 6 pi fifths. Well, this is 5 pi fifths, so how much rotation would I need to get back to the x-axis the fastest? Well, the fastest way to rotate back to the x-axis is to go backwards, so I'm going to rewind that a little bit, and that would be pi fifths. Okay, last one, let's do this one in the 4th quadrant. What if I had this angle, which is 11 pi fifths? No, 11 pi, what am I thinking? Let's do 9 pi fifths. Okay, well, we already established that this is 5 pi fifths. 180 degrees is 5 pi fifths. This right here would be 10 pi fifths. Okay, so how much rotation do I need? Is going to be pi fifths. I've wound 9 pi fifths plus another pi fifths is 10 pi fifths, which is equal to 2 pi, which is 360. Okay, you're going to see questions like this. What if, let's say, if you have a 40-degree angle, then what, for your reference angle, so if your reference angle is 40 degrees, let's draw that in the different quadrants. If we draw this in the 1st quadrant, 40 degrees, again, the definition is how much rotation do you need to get to the x-axis? The answer is 40. So in quadrant 1, it would be 40. What about in quadrant 2? So in quadrant 2, let's draw the angle here. And in quadrant 2, it's right here. Now the 40 degrees, this is important. The 40 degrees always, always, always goes between the terminal side and the x-axis. So we're going to put the 40 right there. Okay, so remind yourself this is 180. So how much more do I need to get to 180? I need 40, so this has to be 140. Because 140 plus 40 is the 180. So in quadrant 2, it would be 140. What if I redrew this now in quadrant 3? If I draw this in quadrant 3, then an angle that ends in quadrant 3 is going to look like this. So I have that angle right there. So 40 is my reference angle. I'm going to put that 40 right here. And now you notice this is 180 right here. And then there's another 40. So 180 plus 40 is 220. All right. Now what if I go and redraw this in quadrant 4? So in quadrant 4, I have this. Now my reference angle is 40. Where am I going to put that 40? Again, you always put the 40 right here. So the reference angle is how much rotation you need to get to the x-axis the quickest. If I did a whole rotation, this would be 360. But I'm not going to do a whole 360. I'm going to wind it back 40. So the answer here would be 320. It's 40 degrees short of 360.